Great leaders don't just review reports. They get close to the reality, as close as you can. The best companies don't just respond to problems, they anticipate friction and remove it before it even comes up. In America, we love heroes. Japan builds systems where heroes aren't necessary. I love that. What if American companies borrowed more than just Japanese products? Hey guys, good evening. I'm actually recording this from Tokyo, Japan on the last day of an incredible trip. You'll notice the production quality isn't the same. My camera, my whole studio isn't here. The sound might not be as good. However, it was too important of an episode, too fun not to record. Like most people, when coming to Japan, I came expecting amazing food, incredible technology, and a beautiful culture and the beautiful people. What surprised me wasn't any of that. It was the operating system behind the country. Everywhere I looked, from train stations to hotels, to restaurants, manufacturing, retail, even the everyday interactions, I kept seeing the same business principles repeated over and over. And it made me wonder, what if American companies borrowed more than just Japanese products? What if we borrowed the philosophy behind them? And so I'll just go over some of the typical lessons that you've probably heard of, right? One is Kaizen, small improvements beat big ideas. What struck me, everybody knows that Kaizen means continuous improvement, right? The way I talk about it is basically becoming 1% better every single day. It's very, very important. What struck me is it's everywhere. No one waits for massive transformations here. Everyone makes tiny improvements every single day from what I've seen, especially the people I've been surrounded around. American startups often chase the next breakthrough. We want big. Everything has to be big. Everything has to be a home run. And it doesn't always have to be, right? Imagine if every day we optimized yesterday's work. What if we were 1% better every single day? Imagine if every engineer improved their code quality by just 1% every day. Imagine every sales team improved discovery calls by 1%. Imagine if recruiters improve candidate or client experience by 1% every day. Where would we end up being, right? What if a startup every single day started the next day 1% better than they started? Just think about that. Those tiny improvements, barely noticeable, compound into enormous competitive advantages long term. So business takeaway, don't build your company around breakthroughs necessarily, build it around continuous improvement. Lesson 2, respect for process. In America, we love heroes. We're big on heroes, the salesperson who saves the quarter, the engineer who pulls an all-nighter to fix the bug, the CEO who works 100 hours. Japan builds systems where heroes aren't necessary. I love that. Right? Processes are designed so ordinary people produce extraordinary results long term. That's much more scalable for businesses, right? Because how many of us have those exceptional rock stars? And if we do, if we're lucky enough, we'll have 1, maybe 2, maybe 5. But we might have 10, 20, 100, 200 terrific other people that aren't superstars, but they can get better every single day, and we can build systems around that. It's more scalable. Tech companies obsess over hiring players, and that's extremely important. They absolutely should. Maybe we should all also obsess a little bit about creating our own A players, right? That's something to think about as well. What else can I talk about, right? Let's talk about Genchi Genbutsu. Hopefully I say it correctly. Go and see. This is actually my client's concept, I believe. Toyota's concept. It means to go to the actual place. Don't manage from spreadsheets, from your ivory tower. Don't make decisions only from dashboards. Don't assume you understand the problem from a meeting. Go see the work. For tech leaders, that means talking to your customers, watching users use the product, sit with the sales team, listen to support calls, understand where the friction actually is. Great leaders don't just review reports or just talk to their direct reports. They get close to the reality, as close as you can. And if hopefully I'm pronouncing these right. Another concept I want to talk about is Nemawashi. Build alignment before the decision, right? This means you're preparing the ground before making huge decisions. In business, it means you don't surprise people with major changes. You socialize ideas, gather input, build trust, and create alignment before the formal decision happens. This doesn't mean that every decision has to get approval from everybody. It's not a democracy. I'm big on not having companies run like big democratic, bureaucratic countries. That's not the point. It's just, speed without alignment creates rework and friction and unnecessary, problems, basically. And sometimes your best people will feel left out because they weren't in the conversation. All they want is their voice heard. You don't have to listen to everything they say. You don't have to do everything they say, but you can listen to some of the ideas or the feedback that they have. Another concept, Monozukuri, the spirit of making things well. It's all about craftsmanship, pride, and excellence in making things. Great. In tech, this matters a lot. Shipping fast is important, yes. Agile is important, but shipping thoroughly matters too. Is this a product? Is this product intuitive? Is the code maintainable? Is the customer experience clean? Is the candidate experience professional? Monozukuri reminds us that quality is not a department, right? It's a mindset. So it's not a quality assurance department. It's not customer service department. You throw stuff over the wall and hope that everything is resolved. Another one is Omotenashi, deep hospitality, right? This is often described as Japanese hospitality. If you've ever stayed at a really nice restaurant, or a really nice, resort, hotel, a 5-star restaurant, 5-star hotel, you'll notice that the hospitality is just incredible. And if you haven't, it doesn't matter. You still get sometimes true Japanese hospitality for no reason at all. Cab drivers, other hotels, and things like that. But in business, it goes even deeper, right? It means anticipating needs before someone asks. For tech companies, this is customer experience. For managers, this is your team experience. The best companies don't just respond to problems, they anticipate friction and remove it before it even comes up. Another concept, Hoshin Kanri, aligning strategy and execution. This is about strategic planning method that connects long-term goals to daily execution. This is where companies struggle. They have vision, for sure. A lot of our companies are run by crazy visionaries. They have OKRs, they have meetings, but the day-to-day work doesn't always connect to the strategy. By the time the vision gets down to the folks actually doing the day-to-day work, it's often lost, right? It's often lost. Like, what are we actually trying to achieve here? And you'll notice that. I don't know if you've ever heard of EOS, but in EOS, you have this leadership meeting, these leadership rocks, we call them. But those rocks are supposed to be passed down to the departments and then to the teams and down all the way where everybody's working on the common goal, the common rocks. We're all contributing to the big rocks. We all have different rocks or quarterly goals or whatever you want to call it, but we're all working towards the big vision, the leadership rocks, right? So that's very important. Hoshin Kanri forces alignment. What is the mission? What are the priorities? What is the team doing this week that moves those priorities forward? That's it. What are we doing this week to move the big goals, the mission ahead? This is incredibly useful for scaling companies, struggling companies doing really well. One of my favorites, an old core value of ours that we retired for now, it's called Shuhari. Learn, master, then innovate. This has 3 stages. Shu, follow the rules, right? If you've ever heard of, wax on, wax off, from Karate Kid, that's what it is. You first have to follow the rules. You have to learn the ways of the master. Then you have to adapt the rules a little bit, right? So now that you're doing really well and you're very senior and you're skilled, highly skilled, and you know what you're doing, well, let's adapt the rules. Let's change it up a little bit. Let me add some of my own flavor into it because I can, right? That's what you're expecting from a very senior, very strong person. And then my favorite, transcend the rules. This is when you start innovating. You start changing the game, right? I'm changing the game constantly, whether it's in your own company, whether it's in the industry or the world, right? It's like, what can you do to innovate and change? But first you have to shu, then you have to ha, then you have to re. This is a great framework for leadership, for sales, for engineering, for entrepreneurship, frankly, for your kids, right? Sometimes a lot of our kids want to do all the things they see In sports, for example, they want to see what, Michael Jordan, LeBron, or Stephen Curry is doing, but they don't learn the fundamentals. And that's what Shuhari is. And too many people want to innovate before they understand the fundamentals. They come into a company ready to change everything. It's like, whoa, 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 slow down. We got to shoe first, right? Then we got to hot, then we got to read. Shuhari says, first master the basics, then improve them, improve the basics, then create something new. That's where the innovation comes in. Guys, in closing, the big takeaway for me is this. Japanese business culture offers practical operating systems for building better companies. Kaizen improves the work. Genchi keeps leaders close to reality. Nemawashi builds alignment. Monozukuri protects the quality. Omotenashi improves experience. Hoshin Kanri connects the strategy to the execution. And Shuhari reminds us to master fundamentals before reinventing them. For tech leaders, founders, and operators, these aren't abstract cultural ideas. These are tools you can use today, literally today. And in a world moving faster because of AI, automation, and constant changes in the world, how the world is just constantly moving with every war, every new release of Claude or whatever it be, these concepts may be more relevant than ever. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Very short, very simple, not the highest quality from a production value, but hopefully adds value to your day. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Next time you see the Tech Leaders Playbook, Season 4, Episode 1, it'll actually be in a studio, live studio that we created. I'm very excited about it. Thank you, team, podcast team, my EA, everybody involved. 2 podcast teams have actually helped us create this new show that will be released soon. It's actually a career show called The Higher Calling. That will be a new show that we're doing. Tech Leaders Playbook will just move to more of a studio model. Hope you've had a good season. Hopefully you've had a great week. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day and see you in LA. Take care, guys. And that brings us to the end of another great episode of the Tech Leaders Playbook. I want to thank you for joining us and hope you took away some valuable insights to apply in your professional journey. Don't forget to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform so you don't miss out on the next great conversation. I promise it'll be good. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd appreciate if you could leave us a review. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but also help others discover the podcast. Better leaders mean better working environments. Better working environments leads to happier people. Remember, a rising tide lifts all boats. I'm Avetis Antaplyan, and this has been the Tech Leaders Playbook. Keep leading, keep learning, keep giving, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, stay inspired, my friends.